Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. So excuse me my dressing not appropriately. I don't know what's appropriate for booktube, but I couldn't be bothered, and it's pretty warm today, and yes, I can't be bothered wearing sleeves, so that's okay. And welcome to a new episode of Chat, where I chat about my week. I have no idea why I said that. Anyway, I chat about my reading week and my plans for the weekend. I actually missed last week's episode because I was traveling from Milan to Wuppertal again. So yes, you have to be informed of what happened in my readings. So in the week previous to this one, I managed to read The Dead Souls by N.Gogol, which is a classic Russian novel by a classic Russian author about a guy going to the hinterland, some sort, well anyway, the countryside, in order to sort of organize a scam. That's where the title comes from, because Soul is the name Russian people give to people who work in the field as servants, basically. And yeah, basically he's a small landowner and he wants to buy dead souls in order to make himself look richer. But yeah, anyway, the whole novel is about this scam and how it goes amazingly for everyone, but it's more about a commentary about the situation of Russia in the end of the 18th century and the beginning of the 19th century, and it was truly nice. I wasn't expecting too much about it because I prefer other kinds of Russian novels, so more recent ones, like the ones by Dostoevsky in particular, because there's a sort of there's a bit of analysis more about the whole people involved, whereas with this one it was just a succession of things that happened that of course generated a commentary in the reader, in myself. But yeah, the author didn't suggest anything himself and it was a bit dry in that regards, but for the rest it was a fine read, and I do like his writing style. Is really fluent, it's really dry in some sense, and it's sort of schematic, if I can say that in a decent way, as it doesn't go too randomly about, it keeps the same idea and it's always really set in what he wants to say, so that's fine for this sort of novel. And I also managed to read a collection of writings by V.M.Hugo on the death penalty. So it was titled Against Death Penalty, actually. But yeah, it's a collection of writings, and I like that collection, but I feel like there was too much stuff in it. There are a couple of writings that I did enjoy, and I feel I'm sorry, I will probably cut the translation in English in my own way of translating the translation from French to Italian to English, but one must be The Last Day of a Condemned Man, and there is another one that I can't really remember, but yeah, they were actually the first two blocks. And they basically were, one was a non-fiction thing about writing an essay about why death penalty is not fine, and the second one was a fictional tale about the last days of a man that was condemned to die. And actually the first one made me think, because you know, when people talk about death penalty they usually say that it's good for various purposes, but everyone basically seems to think that it's good for the fact that it creates an example, as in if I see somebody die because of what they did, I won't do that thing. And Hugo actually is really, I don't know, it's really challenging to this point, as in, he says, well, okay, but if you have to make an example, then don't just use methods that are clean, just, I don't know, torture people in front of everybody. And it's not the sort of thing that you would expect from Hugo, but I do accept that point, and I feel like it's probably the main argument you can make when somebody tells you that, because with people who are killed, for instance, in some states of the USA or in other countries where they have death penalty that is not lapidation, if that's the English word for it, you just know that people get an injection and they don't suffer, and that doesn't really create an example. So why do that? So yeah, just forget about that penalty. And yes, then during the traveling and during this week, I managed to read 3 books, and they were all ebooks, so I can't really show them, so I'm sorry, this would be a poorly visual video. They were Manituana by Ming. Now, as I told you before, this is a collective of Italian writers that writes historical novels, and this novel is set in the late 1700s. It starts from 1775 and ends in 1779, I think, in North America and in Canada, and it's about how the American Revolution changed the situation of Native Americans and how Native Americans had to adjust to their treaties with the English Empire in order for them to sort of survive. But yeah, okay, the whole main idea behind that is how the situation changed from them being decent people who had a sort of a real nice prospect in society, which I knew nothing about, and that sort of makes me sad. But yeah, they were considered basically as any other person in the English Empire, but then when the American Revolution happened, they weren't considered like that anymore, and that was really strange. That is really strange, but that was their main point, and I was expecting something more from the novel, but I did enjoy it, and so I recommend you reading it, because there is an English translation of it. And then I read 2 novels. Now these were in English, and the first one, the first one was a novel, the second one wasn't. The first one was The Bell Jar by S.Plath, of course, and I sort of hated it, but I will talk about that in the video I will publish on a Thursday, because I feel like this rambling about this book has to have a scheme, because otherwise I will just complain about everything. But I went there expecting to find something, and I didn't find what I expected to find, which is a clear and reasoned story about a person suffering from depression, and not just somebody who can't make a decision and wants to be really poetic about her not being able to make a decision about life. So yeah, it was quite a disappointment for me, especially because I do like Plath's writing style. How do you say that? Writing style. Because I'm reading her journals, they are in Italy, so I'm sort of reading them every 6 months. But I do like her writing style, and I feel like she's a really intelligent person, but I don't know what she wanted to say to people with this novel. And it's not, I just don't want people to think that I can't empathize with the protagonist because I don't suffer from depression, because I do suffer from depression. So I would be one of the people with whom she could empathize more, but I just hated everything she wrote in that novel. So yeah, let's leave that to Thursday, and let's complain about another book for which I have to read the title. So oh no, sorry, oh god, what was the title? Because my computer stopped working, so for a second. So it was The Nurture Effect, and then it had a huge subtitle, but it was really sort of liberal chic, in that it was like how the science of mind can change the world and make it better, or something like that. So first of all, what annoys me the most is that on the cover of this book, the author has his academic title, so it's like I don't know, John Smith PhD, and I'm like, why? Why do you have to say that you have a doctorate in the if I am interested in your book, I'm going to read the back of your book, and I'm going to read that you have a PhD. It's like, David Mitchell doesn't say that he has a PhD in his novels. I don't know, Asimov didn't say that he had a PhD in his novels. Stephen Hawking didn't say that he had a PhD in his books. I'm like, why do you have to do that? It's just stupid. That's my complaint. And then I feel like the book has nice points, and it's a whole analysis of how behavioral sciences can let you know how to behave in many aspects of your life, and how to make sort of decent decisions in order to make the world better. But also I feel like that isn't the purpose of the book. The purpose of the book is just to present 3 examples of how behavioral scientists shaped the future of the world in a better way, and it's not really the premise of the book. So the first part is about kids, and about how teaching them in a particular way is better than just punching them that they can't do something. And I'm like, well, of course, but anyway. And then there are a few other parts which are, I mean, the book is totally unproportionate, because the kids part takes up 60% of the book, and then the other 2 examples take the other 40% of the book. So yeah, that doesn't really make sense to me. But they sort of are the same thing, as in they connect with the punishment of people, basically, and how you can make them become better persons. Yeah, that was just wrong. So now I am going to read a novel, because I feel like I have to read a novel. And I started last night Galileo's Dream by K.S.Robinson, and you know, if you follow me, that I have read his Mars trilogy, and I did enjoy it, but not so much. And I hate the sun. And yeah, I'm liking this book. I'm 50 pages in, and it's nowhere near me giving a nice judgment about the book. But I feel like he's trying to pretend he's Italian, and he's just doing things wrong. Because, anyway, okay, the book is, of course, set around the historical figure of Galileo Galilei. And at the beginning of this book, he was in Venice/Padua, which was under the Republic of Venice. And I feel like every other place is written in Italian without any sense, because like the council hall is written in Italian. Why do you have to do that? It's literally the council hall, or the Senate hall is written in Italian, and I'm like, why? And there is this thing that he keeps on doing, and I will ramble about it just because. So one of his guys, oh god, what's his name? I should know it, because it's pretty famous. Okay, one of his students/assistants/ people who work with him is called Mazzoleni. And whenever Galileo screams at Mazzoleni, he screams in this way, in English, Len-I. And that's just not how an Italian person would scream Mazzoleni, because that's not how you divide syllables in Italian. That doesn't make even any sense to have an N at the end of a syllable in Italian. Anyway, so yeah, and also it just doesn't make any sense for me to have a T if you have to say Mazzoleni, but it's okay. And yeah, that drives me really crazy, but for the rest, I'm quite enjoying the book. So I'm sorry if if I am rambling about it. So let me know if you have read any of these books. There are quite a lot, so I will leave the whole list in the info box down below so that you can check them out without going crazy yourself. As you see, I'm getting crazy myself, so I don't want people to write a book about them being crazy that doesn't make any sense. Sorry. Until next time, I guess I leave you to your readings. And let me know if you're reading anything interesting, because I may be interested in knowing what to read and have a direction in my next reads, since I'm in this moment where I can't really decide anything, to be honest. But anyway, bye.